Hello, this is Lisa, CEO of Site for Wight, welcoming you to this week's Talking News. Our open day at Site for Wight is looming very quickly now. It is next Saturday, the 11th of September. We've got 10 organisations attending, all bringing Isle of Wight representatives, so people who are living with sight loss genuinely can meet people who are able to help them. We are very keen that they have sent people who will actually deal with Isle of Wight residents, as opposed to some generic person from that organisation. The event is at Millbrook House on Saturday the 11th of September, starting at 10:30 and finishing at 3:30. You may drop in at any time. We are providing a barbecue as refreshments, and we can provide door-to-door transport if you need it. Please do not hesitate to give us a call on 522205 to book your place. This week has also seen the launch of our working age group. As someone working on the island with a visual impairment, I understand that the option to work is often taken away from people by insurmountable barriers being there. These barriers may be perceived or real. The Rnib are running a course to tackle just this. I have all of the information regarding the course here at Site for Wight, so please don't hesitate to call 522205. Further from this, I have also asked everybody who is registered with us if they would like to form a working age group. This gives people the chance to talk and give real life experiences about how to overcome these barriers. The group will allow people to share experience, for example, the inevitable questions: when do I mention my sight? How do I access a support worker? How do I apply for access to work, and what equipment can they offer me? And what does reasonable adjustment mean, which is a phrase often used by Access to Work. These meetings would probably be held virtually, but face-to-face is always an option. If you're interested in joining, please don't hesitate to call me on 522205 or email me on ceo@iwsb.org.uk. Thank you very much. We look forward to meeting many of you in person at the open day on the 11th of September. Lisa, stay safe.
This is Michael reading from Isle of Wight Radio. Market days could return to Isle of Wight's Newport High Street. A crowdfunder has launched in a bid to rally local support to bring market days back to Newport. Market Days, CIC, which is behind the campaign, was set up in the wake of the economic downturn caused by the pandemic. It was incorporated in November 2020 as a community interest company, so all profits and assets from the company will be used for the public good and there are no shareholders. The organisation wants to raise at least £40,000 to establish regular markets and support new producers, artisans and traders in Newport and across the island. What your help will mean to the community of Newport. Your help and donation will mean that Market Days, CIC, can put on more markets and events in the town squares and public spaces in Newport and the Isle of Wight, which we hope will build community and a sense of pride and belonging. The money will be used to bring markets, including Christmas markets, in 2021 to Newport, cover the costs of putting on markets, including the costs of event organisation, administration and advertising, provide advice and workshops to new traders to help them build their businesses, providing them all the information they need to get started. Provide support for new traders to help them with costs of insurance, banking and fees. Create jobs within the company. Claire Kennard, the founder-director of Market Days CIC, said, "Since April 17th this year, we have been holding regular Saturday market events which incorporate street performances, busking and family activities, and they really bring life to the town square. It is wonderful to see people enjoying a chat and a reconnecting with each other in the safety of the fresh air. The market is more than just a place to shop. It is a central focus for community building and a way to support local producers, artists and makers." With the support of the people of the Isle of Wight, I believe we can help to bring vibrancy and life back to Newport, with markets at the heart of its revival.
Planning Bible issued by Isle of Wight Council for new housing strategy. From Isle of Wight Radio. The Isle of Wight Council has put forward its new Planning Bible to try and sort out the island's housing crisis. The draft island planning strategy paves the way for developers, the public and planning authority for the next 15 years, setting out how the Isle of Wight Council hopes to address issues and provide housing sensitively. This is the first stage in a line of consultations, meetings and final approval, which will hope to see the plan implemented from 2023 through to 2038. A main purpose of the strategy is to help the council fight to lower the housing targets for the island from building 700 homes a year, which has not been attainable, to 486. The strategy's policies are laid out under 6 main sections, which cover everything from the economy to the environment and growth of the island. Here is what is planned for each. Environment. Policies will protect and seek to improve all positive aspects, including areas of outstanding natural beauty, trees, heritage assets and ecology. A new Dark Skies Park will also be introduced in the southwest of the island, and a biodiversity net gain of 10% will also be required from all new developments. Community. Making sure people have access to open space and community facilities while allowing more health facilities to be built when needed. Strong and healthy communities with a range of people from all ages are key and will be built in well-designed new spaces and buildings. Growth. For sustainable growth and development with the island's population growth and people living longer, additional homes, jobs, services and infrastructure are needed in the right places so that people are closer to what they need. Housing. More houses are needed, but in lots of different types of areas and for different needs. Homes will be built in places where people will be able to access the services and facilities that they need. Economy. While protecting existing jobs, new ones need to also be created, and land will be secured for a range of businesses to maintain and increase jobs. Policies will also ensure commercial properties on high streets can be as flexible as possible. Transport. Having a big impact on climate change, growth will be planned to encourage people to move around without using motor vehicles. New roads, footpaths and cycle paths infrastructure will be built where needed. Wherever possible, new development will help fund those costs. One of the guiding principles is to improve the delivery and affordability of new homes, which has been lacking in previous years. Between April 2015 and March 2020, only 95 affordable homes have been built on the island. The council hopes, with the adoption of the IPS, with a realistic housing number, it will be able to move away and regain control over decision-making in line with the new policies it's setting out. Comments can be accepted until 5 p.m, October the 1st.
NHS digital data. These are not the views of Sight for Wight. They are facts reproduced from the NHS website. Why data is needed. Patient data is used every day to improve healthcare services through planning and research in England, helping to find better treatments and improve patient care. It helps to decide what new health and care services are required in a local area, informs clinical guidance and policy, and supports researching and developing cures for serious illnesses such as heart disease, diabetes and cancer. Why we need a new system. Patient data is already being collected to improve health and care services. NHS Digital has collected patient data from general practices using a service called the General Practice Extraction Service, GPES. This system is over 10 years old and now needs to be replaced. NHS Digital has engaged with doctors, patients, data and governance experts to design a new and improved system to collect data from general practice. Reduces work for GPs so they have more time to focus on patient care. Explains clearly how data is used to help patients feel confident and informed. Means data is collected, stored and accessed in a secure and consistent way. How we keep your data secure. We take our responsibility to safeguard patient data extremely seriously. Data shared by NHS Digital is subject to strict rules around privacy, security and confidentiality, and the new service has been designed to the highest standards. We do not collect patients' names or exactly where they live. Any other data that could directly identify someone, for example, their NHS number, full postcode and date of birth, is pseudonymised before it leaves their GP practice. This means that this data is replaced with unique codes, so patients cannot be directly identified in the data which is shared with us. The data is also securely encrypted. We would only ever re-identify the data if there was a lawful reason to do so, and it would need to be compliant with data protection law. For example, a patient may have agreed to take part in a research project or clinical trial and has already provided consent to their data being shared with the researchers for this purpose. The law allows research projects which need to find volunteers for the research to contact patients directly about taking part in research or a clinical trial if the Health Research Authority has approved the request. You can opt out of sharing your data. If you do not want your GP to share your identifiable patient data for purposes except for your own care, you can opt out by registering a Type 1 opt-out. This prevents your data being shared with NHS Digital. You can also register a National Data Opt-out, which will prevent NHS Digital from sharing your identifiable patient data for planning and research purposes. Your individual care will not be affected if you opt out using either option. Opt-outs, either type, that have been registered in the past will all be fully respected. We have designed the collection with many safeguards in place to protect the privacy of patients, including removing all personal information that would directly identify patients before data is shared with NHS Digital. By putting in place strict governance processes about who can access data and for what reasons, and being transparent about what data is shared and why, the programme aims to make patient data available safely and securely. Making data available for research will lead to better NHS services for patients, treatments, medicines. We make it clear how to opt out. Although we have designed the collection with privacy protections in place, if patients do still want to opt out, they can. GPs already share data with other organisations for planning and research purposes in accordance with their own data sharing agreements, and patients have had the opportunity to opt out of this type of data sharing for several years using the Type 1 opt-out. We have provided support and materials to GPs so that they can also let their patients know about the collection. This contains detailed information about it and the ways that patients can opt out.
This is Michael reading from Isle of Wight Radio. Isle of Wight businesses, are your fire safety procedures up to date? Isle of Wight businesses are being asked to ensure their risk assessments and fire safety procedures are up to date. Hampshire and Isle of Wight Fire and Rescue Service, HIWFRS, is highlighting the importance of updating risk assessments and checking over fire safety procedures. Throughout the pandemic, many businesses have had to constantly adapt their premises for the safety of customers and employees, and this combined with staffing shortages and financial struggles means that fire safety may have been overlooked. HIWFRS has continued to offer guidance and support throughout the pandemic, and over the past year the service's protection team has supported nearly 4,000 businesses through a combination of formal inspections and other educational initiatives, such as free webinars on the topic of business fire safety. Station Manager for Protection at HIWFRS, Graham Orchard, said, "Fire can have a devastating impact on businesses, so it's vital that risk assessments are regularly reviewed and updated to increase fire safety. We realise this has been an extremely difficult year for businesses across Hampshire and the Isle of Wight, and we want businesses to know that we are here to support them and offer advice and guidance. Next week is National Fire Chiefs Council Business Safety Week, 6th to the 12th of September, which is held annually to encourage businesses across the UK to make sure fire safety remains a top priority. Mark Andrews, NFCC's Business Engagement Lead, said fire services are committed to helping businesses get back to work so they can continue to make their valued contribution to the economy and local communities. It has been such a challenging time, but fire can have a devastating impact on a business, with many never recovering. But fire services are able to provide help and guidance to reduce this risk, and the NFCC encourage them to get in touch with their local fire service for advice. HIWFRS are running the following free webinars throughout Business Safety Week: Tuesday the 7th of September and Wednesday the 8th of September, 10:30 to 12:30, Residential Care Fire Safety Webinar, offering specific advice for residential care settings. HIWFRS Station Manager Protection, Graham Orchard. Thursday the 9th and Friday the 10th of September, 10:30 to 12:30, Business Fire Safety Webinar. HIWFRS Fire Safety Inspector Kaylee Monkton. Each session will include guidance on morale and legal obligations in the workplace, what to expect from a fire safety inspector visit, common shortfalls experienced during an inspection, protecting business and staff to ensure business continuity.
Hello, this is Steve reading a story from Isle of Wight Radio, headlined Council looks set to back Newport City bid plans. The Isle of Wight Council looks set to throw its support behind plans to make Newport a city. A motion calling for the island's county town to join the likes of Swindon, Milton Keynes, Dudley and Reading in vying for the coveted title has been recommended for approval. It will be discussed by the Council's Cabinet next Thursday, that's the 9th of September. The city status could be granted as part of honours being awarded for the Queen's 2022 Platinum Jubilee celebrations. The motion has been put forward by Councillor Martin Oliver and already has the backing of Newport and Carisbrooke Community Council. Isle of Wight Council leader Laura Peacey-Wilcox said, "This bid for city status is an opportunity for us to celebrate everything we know is important about Newport and reflect its status as our island's county town. City status really does bring greater kudos and hopefully help attract investment into the town. A bid for city status should also be seen as recognition for the whole island and look to build on the sense and value of community that has been enhanced in responding to the COVID-19 pandemic, and that will be necessary as the island works to recover from it. Local authorities across the country are being encouraged to prepare nominations for city status for towns within their areas as part of the Civic Honours competition launched to celebrate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee in 2022. The bid must be submitted to the government by December the 8th before recommendations are made to the Queen by ministers."
Young girl with disabilities jumps and canters for the first time on the Isle of Wight, from Isle of Wight Radio. An 11-year-old girl who is deaf and partially sighted has cantered and jumped for the first time on a horse on the Isle of Wight. Last year, Adi, who had treatment for a brain tumour that left her with disabilities, sent in a picture of her on a horse when she was 3, which won her a horse riding holiday on the Isle of Wight. The photo was taken of Adi when she was receiving treatment at a cancer retreat and had met horses for the first time. The competition was launched last year by Island Riding Centre and the Disability Review magazine. In August, competition winners Emma and her daughter enjoyed an adventurous stay exploring the island and at the Island Riding Centre. During her stay at the Island Riding Centre, she cantered for the first time and her mother Emma said, "It was wonderful to see." The tumour and its treatment left Adi deaf in both ears, blind in one eye, and with depth perception and coordination issues. So to canter is quite a scary thing to do, and it was a really emotional moment for her, and I'm so proud of what she's achieved. Adi herself said, "I feel really happy and safe and calm, and it feels like it's what I should be doing."
This is Michael reading from Isle of Wight Radio. Dog over cliff prompts call out for Isle of Wight Coast Guard teams. A Cocker Spaniel going over a cliff has prompted a call out for Coast Guard teams this afternoon, Tuesday the 31st of August. Isle of Wight Radio understands Bembridge and Ventnor Coast Guard rescue teams were called to Culver Down just after 3 p.m. A spokesperson for HM Coast Guard told Isle of Wight Radio, "This incident is ongoing with Ventnor and Bembridge Coast Guard rescue teams from about 3:10 today being sent to a report of a dog, namely a Cocker Spaniel, over the cliff at Culver Down. Coast Guard rescue team members are ensuring that people at the location stay well clear of the cliff edge. It's likely that a technical cliff rescue will be carried out shortly, but it appears as though those assessments are still being made." Updated 5 p.m. HM Coast Guard says the dog is now safe and well and has been returned to its owner.
Hello, this is Steve reading a story from the On the Wight news site, headlined "Plans for 130 new homes in freshwater re-emerge after refusal in 2013. Plans have been unveiled for 130 homes on Camp Road in Freshwater, 8 years after a previous attempt for 8 homes was rejected. Developers have gone back to the drawing board and brought forward a new scheme that they hope will address the housing shortage on the island. Previously, plans for 8 dwellings in 2013 were refused by the Isle of Wight Council and later by the Planning Inspectorate due to insufficient information in planning documents and the piecemeal development approach proposed. Developers then approached the Council in 2019 for pre-application advice proposing 170 homes. Although planning officers were in support of the 170 home scheme, they suggested decreasing the numbers and altering the layout. The agricultural land is now allocated for at least 90 homes in the Council's draft island planning strategy. The outline application, however, is for 130 homes. All detailed matters relating to the final scale, appearance, layout, access and landscaping of the site will be determined through later revised matter applications. However, the housing split has been detailed, with 35% of the 130 homes, that's 46, to be affordable. The remaining 84 will be market housing, and although the final mix will be determined at a later date, the site will feature 1 and 2 bed flats and 2, 3 and 4 bed houses. Planning agent Andrew Wight Planning Consultancy said the figures were in line with the housing need for the area as set out in the 2018 needs assessment. Housing growth in the village is expected. In documents submitted in favour of the application, the agents say housing growth is expected and the scheme would carefully balance the objectives of sustaining Freshwater as a thriving village while not overwhelming it. Vehicles would leave the site on Camp Road, with a pedestrian access point linking it to Victoria Road, where the bus stops and the village centre could be reached.
Safe stolen from another Isle of Wight pub from Isle of Wight Radio. Another Isle of Wight pub has been targeted by thieves. The New Inn, based in Shalfleet, has had its safe stolen over the bank holiday weekend. It comes just days after the Sun Inn at Wolverton was the victim of a break-in, while Newport's The Castle Inn was also targeted. It's not known if the incidents are linked. Posting on Facebook, the New Inn wrote, "A nice bank holiday weekend with some lovely people and feedback. What a shame it gets ruined by some local bags who broke in last night and stole the safe. Luckily for us, everyone pays by debit card, so good luck to them trying to open it. They will be disappointed."
Naval officer who crashed into cars whilst drunk, given 28-month ban. From Island Echo, read by Chris. A Royal Navy petty officer has appeared before magistrates and will now also face discipline within the armed forces after crashing into 2 cars whilst more than 3 times the drink drive limit. 36-year-old Craig Smith from Dame Anthony's Close in Binstead has been banned from the roads after pleading guilty to drink driving. The court heard that on the 14th of August at around 2300 hours, police received a 999 call reporting that a vehicle had crashed into two parked cars on Wellington Road, Binstead. It was reported that the driver was refusing to get out of the vehicle. Liz Miller, prosecuting, explained to the court that officers arrived on the scene to find a drunken Mr. Smith swaying, smelling of alcohol and slurring his words. He made admissions that he was drunk and that he was just driving to the local shop. The father of one was subsequently arrested and taken into custody where he blew 119, the legal limit being 35. The Ford Fiesta that he crashed into has since been declared an insurance write-off, with the second vehicle, an Audi, also damaged and the owner facing a £250 excess. The Smiths state that they will be paying for any losses faced by third parties. Smith, who has served in the Royal Navy for 16 years, offered a letter to the court which was read out by his solicitor Barry Arnett. In the letter, Craig said the decision to drink and drive was inexcusable and that he was sorry for the distress caused. Mr. Arnett said that his client has admitted having issues with alcohol but is now seeking professional help through his employer. Magistrates handed Smith a 28-month driving ban and made him subject to a 12-month community order with 140 hours of unpaid work. He was ordered to pay £85 costs with a £95 surcharge.
This is Michael reading from Ireland Echo. Isle of Wight man extradited to the US over movie piracy charges. 51-year-old George Bridie from the Isle of Wight has been extradited to the United States over charges relating to TV and movie piracy. It has been confirmed by the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Audrey Strauss, that Bridie was extradited from Cyprus to the US on Tuesday, appearing before the federal court in Manhattan yesterday, Wednesday. It was in August last year that Bridie was arrested on the eastern Mediterranean island of Cyprus over allegations of conspiracy to commit copyright infringement, wire fraud conspiracy, and conspiracy to commit interstate transportation of stolen property. The charges related to an international piracy ring called Sparks, which allegedly illegally distributed movies and TV shows across the world via the internet. It said the alleged piracy caused tens of millions of dollars worth of losses to film production studios. Attorney Audrey Strauss has said, as alleged, George Bridie was a member of an international video piracy ring that circumvented copyright protections on nearly every movie released by major production studios as well as television shows and distributed them worldwide on the internet. Thanks to the assistance of our law enforcement partners, the piracy ring has been busted and Bridie is now in US custody. Bridie has pleaded not guilty to all three charges against him and will reappear in court at a later date. He faces up to 30 years in prison. Co-defendant Jonathan Correa previously pled guilty to conspiracy to commit copyright infringement and was sentenced in May to 3 years and 3 months of supervised release, with the first 3 months to be served in community confinement. Another co-defendant, Umar Ahmed, a citizen of Norway, remains at large. The investigation has involved law enforcement agencies from Canada, Cyprus, Czech Republic, Denmark, France, Germany, Italy, Republic of Korea, Latvia, Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland and the United Kingdom.
This is Patrina reading an article from On the Wight. island planning strategy will be a potent weapon in war against unwanted development, says Cabinet member. The Cabinet member for Planning said the new island planning strategy gives us the ability to be stronger. We cannot allow what is starting to happen on the island to happen. The new island planning strategy, IPS, would be a potent weapon for the Isle of Wight Council in the war against unwanted development. This is the message from the new lead councillor on housing as consultations on the IPS are undertaken. Councillor Paul Fuller said, "It gives us the ability to be stronger. We cannot allow what is starting to happen on the island to happen." Fuller, "We cannot make any real firm decision about future development." Nearly 4 months into the new Alliance Group administration and setting into his position, Councillor Fuller has taken over as Cabinet Member for Housing and Planning and successfully brought forward the IPS for consultation. He said, "With no plan, we cannot make any real firm decision about future development or how the island progresses in terms of regeneration for the next 15 years. At the moment, there are so many problems, so many difficulties. For example, with residents having views on greenfield sites. On the other hand, we need to be able to provide housing for people who are in temporary accommodation. Hundreds of people across the island. We need to be able to respond to that. Addressing future housing issues. Following consultation in 2018, the latest IPS draft sets out how the Council will address housing issues and planning applications in the future. It will give the Council the tools it needs in planning, Councillor Fuller said. Otherwise they are dependent on what the government imposes. He said, "We have seen quite some contentious applications in the past, and we have not had the policy ground to say this is not acceptable, and what we want to see rolled out across the island. The IPS would give us an evidence base to say to government, look, we are different. We do have exceptional circumstances here. Out-of-date policies. The current local plan applications are determined by what was implemented in 2012, but policies in it have been since deemed as out of date. In some cases, they have been used against the Council, as they are partially responsible for the presumption in favour of sustainable development in the Council now fall under pressure on Gurnard and Northwood. Speaking as councillor for Cowes West and Gurnard, he said with nowhere left to develop in Cowes, it put the pressure on Gurnard and Northwood to provide the housing. Therefore, he may like to see the IPS altered to prevent this. An important policy to him, being introduced through the IPS, was having hard settlement boundaries which will stop the opportunity for developers to go beyond them. Fuller wanted to avoid smaller towns and villages being swallowed up. Councillor Fuller said, "There is a worry that larger areas like Rnib could swallow up the smaller towns and villages, and we want to keep those identities separate and keep those communities strong. I am quite proud of this idea, but it is not quite there yet. When you look at where the housing allocations are, there are some controversial things, but we need to know from communities what their thoughts are, and if developments are allowed, we need to make sure they are right in the future. What we really need is residents to be able to engage with the consultation process and either support the IPS or tell the Council where they have got things wrong. Our time to take action is now, says Cabinet Member on the Climate and Environmental Strategy from On the Wight. If approved by Cabinet on 9th September, the Mission Zero Climate and Environment Strategy will go forward to full council. A climate and environment strategy setting out how the Isle of Wight can become carbon neutral by 2040 will be discussed by Cabinet next week. The Mission Zero Climate and Environmental Strategy 2021 to 2040 sets out the Council's aspirations and targets to achieve net carbon zero in its own operations by 2030 and as an island by 2040. Commitment of local authority. If adopted, the plan will commit the authority to making sure all strategic decisions, planning approach decisions, and budget setting across all areas of council work will be considered in line with the target. The action plan contains a number of proposals, including targets to decarbonise council-owned sites and operations by 2030, with a maximum carbon offset of 15% through rewilding and land use schemes on council land. Support the wider island to meet net zero carbon by 2040, with a maximum carbon offset of 15% through rewilding schemes, as well as potential land change use for other methods of carbon removal, such as salt marsh and peat bog restoration, and seagrass, seaweed restoration to coastal areas. Encouraging job creation in environmental sectors such as clean energy, energy efficiency, and low-carbon transport. Planning infrastructure to support island-wide electric vehicle charging and increase the use of electric and other low-carbon vehicles within the council fleet. Encouraging and signposting private homeowners, landlords and new housing developments to meet future net zero carbon standards. Bacon. Our time to take action is now. Councillor Jonathan Bacon, Cabinet Lead on Environment, Heritage and Waste Management, said, "This Mission Zero strategy recognises that the Isle of Wight is an area of outstanding natural beauty and a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve, and therefore the importance of working with our environment to reduce the impacts of climate change. The health and well-being of our community will be directly affected by how the Council and the island responds and adapts to changing climate. Our time to take action is now, and as a Council, through support and key partnerships, we are already undertaking work to lower emissions from transport through our sustainable transport initiatives, and we are replacing older fleet vehicles with electric alternatives. However, this is a bold and far-reaching plan that builds on this work and expands on future achievable targets for both council operations and our wider community to reach by 2040. There is much more to do, but this plan provides a roadmap on how we can get there. Climate emergency. The Council declared a climate emergency in July 2019, following a motion put forward by Ryde, Apley and Elmfield Ward Councillor Michael Lilly. If approved by Cabinet on 9th September, the Mission Zero Climate and Environment Strategy will go forward to full council. Anyone who would like to get involved and discuss the topic is welcome to attend the monthly Environment and Sustainability Forum run by the Council. Simply contact sustainability@iow.gov.uk for details.
Hello, this is Steve reading a story from the On the Wight news site headlined, "An assignment of the Ride Arena lease is taking place, according to Isle of Wight Council." Over the last few months, there have been rumours circulating about the potential future of Ride Arena. News on the Wight has been speaking to those involved, who tell us where things stand at the moment. What we have learnt is that AEW, the current leaseholders, are in the process of assigning the lease onto another third party. The Isle of Wight Council say they are aware that an assignment of the lease is taking place, but they have yet to receive confirmation that the assignment has been completed. They added, "It would be improper for the Council to confirm the identity of the assignee at this time. The lease allows the leaseholder to pass the lease on to another party, for example by selling it." A recent report by Councillor Phil Jordan in the Rnib magazine said, "We now know that the ice rink has been sold, and the new owners plan to open a leisure-type destination business, including distillery and food drink space, and we await seeing how that eventually gets started and trading in the coming months." The rumour that has been circulating in Rnib for some time is that Isle of Wight Distillery were taking on the building. A senior source from Isle of Wight Distillery told News on the Wight today that they had not signed the lease for the building and that the information published in the Rnib magazine was incorrect. News on the Wight contacted Councillor Jordan to see if he had an update to his Rnib magazine article, and will add back when we hear from him. Opening in 1991, for decades Ride Arena ran as an ice rink, hosting several ice skating display teams as well as the Vectis Warriors and recreational ice hockey teams. In February 2001, the council leased the building to AEW for 125 years. It ran as an ice rink. Indeed, Isle of Wight Council said it being an ice rink for a minimum of 15 years was built into the lease. In 2012, Planet Ice was facing closure due to unpaid taxes. Then all remained quiet until 2015, when it was announced staff were being laid off and the venue was to close. There was quite a movement against that form to keep the ice rink open. In October 2018, MP Bob Seeley and Wayne Whittle stood on top of a Zamboni, and the former councillor declared Isle of Wight Council was going to go legal. The council went into arbitration with the company, but as this didn't bear any fruit, in February 21, Dave Stewart, the then Conservative leader of the council, had to announce that the legal action was dropped. Since then, solid news on the future of Ride Arena has been very quiet.
Mental Health for Men. Isle of Wight launches first ever walk and talk meeting from Isle of Wight Radio. Talk, don't bottle it up, and don't think that there isn't a solution. There are. That's from Carl Hart, who runs the Men Only Walk and Talk group. It's a chance for men of all ages to come along and open up to others who may be struggling with their mental health. You can bring your wife or girlfriend, children, dog, or anyone else you might want to bring along with you. The event is to raise awareness of men's mental health, and it's a chance for you to talk, walk, and make new friends. Carl Hart, director of Ride-based Umbrella Hub, which is behind the idea, told Isle of Wight Radio, Men Only was born out of my concern about the fact men's mental health appeared to be getting quite overlooked, especially during COVID. A lot of men suffer from mental health challenges, depression, suicidal thoughts, and tend to turn to drink or drugs, and there isn't the support out there for them. We are principally told to man up and sort ourselves out. As a result of that, and seeing the rising numbers of suicides amongst men, especially here in Ride, which has 20% of the total number of suicides on the island, which is incredibly high, we decided to put together Men Only. Carl added that there is a specific age group where most men seem to be affected, which is those in their late 30s and early 60s, as they experience divorces or job losses. But there's also data to suggest that men in their 20s and early 30s are struggling at this particular time as well, he says. Aspire Ride has also teamed up with Men Only for an initiative called Sat at Dads, where the charity will open up on Saturday mornings for fathers to come along with their children. Carl added, kids can come along and play, and dads can get together and have a chat. We're also doing a community support project where we'll be volunteering around Ride, Seaview, Bembridge and Nettleston, and there is lots coming up. Men over the age of 18 are invited to come along to Puckpool Park for the Walk and Talk in Seaview at 2 o'clock this Sunday, the 5th of September. Walk and Talks will take place every 2 weeks.
This is Michael reading an article from Ireland Echo. Painter found sipping cider in lay-by, handed 10 points on his licence. A self-employed painter and decorator who was found to be sipping from a can of cider whilst parked in a lay-by in jail has kept his licence just. Stephen Ward, 57, of Melbourne Street in Newport, appeared before the Isle of Wight Magistrates Court on Tuesday, charged with being in charge of a motor vehicle whilst alcohol level above the limit. Liz Miller, prosecuting, told the court that the PCSOs had come across Ward parked in Blythe Chute between Chowell and Blackgang on the afternoon of the 12th of August. Police had been searching the local area after receiving a tip-off that the 57-year-old may have been drink driving. The officers witnessed Ward drinking a can of cider with the keys to his Citroën Berlingo still in the ignition. He was arrested and taken to Newport Station, where he blew 79. Defending Barry Annett explained that his client had started drinking more in 2011 following the breakup of his 25-year marriage. On the day of the offence, Ward had argued with his second wife of 6 years about his drinking. Mr. Arnott said that Ward recognised and accepts he has an alcohol dependency and that he has self-referred to inclusion, as well as attending Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. He has also sought help for depression from his GP. After hearing all the evidence and Ward's personal circumstances, magistrates decided to issue 10 penalty points and a fine of £133. They also offered Stephen Ward a £85 costs with a £34 surcharge and warned that he must be extremely careful for the next 3 years, otherwise he will lose his licence altogether.
This is the second part of the Talking News, read by Lynn Patey
and Kate.
Before we start the second part of the County Press, here is the week's Society's news. The new swimming group at Medina starts on Monday at 1:30pm. Transport is available and the cost is £5 and £2.50 for transport. Book group is on Wednesday at Millbrook House at 2pm. Although we are having problems obtaining our titled book due to COVID, we are still meeting and discussing books in general. Coffee and Chat is on every Wednesday from 10 o'clock until 11:30 and is only £1 to include the cake and coffee. Come along and spend time with members and staff discussing various topics. The Thursday Mix and Mingle is held every week starting at 10:30 and finishing at 2 o'clock. If you would like to come along, please call the office to book a space. Transport can be arranged if required.
The new lunch club on Tuesday, September the 14th, is at the Hotel Ride Castle. If you would like to come, please call the office and book a space. Menus are now available and orders must be received by this Thursday, so the confirmed booking can be made with the hotel. Reminder about the open day, it is next Saturday at Millbrook House between 10:30 and 3:30pm. If you're interested in coming, please call the office so that we can cater for numbers. We are looking forward to seeing as many members as possible. Transport can be arranged. Next Thursday, the 16th of September's Mix and Mingle are visiting the Wild Heart Animal Sanctuary, formerly the Isle of Wight Zoo, and all members are welcome. If you would like to join them, please call the office. So for more details, please do not hesitate to call the office or to book your space, calling Susan on 522 205.
And now we go back to the County Press and we start off with the letters. The first being a letter from Professor Bryn Davis, who is the chairman of the Isle of Wight Amnesty Group, and it's entitled Afghan Crisis. Given the speed and scale of the human rights crisis in Afghanistan, the UK's offer to resettle up to 20,000 vulnerable Afghans in the coming years risks being too little, too late. Amnesty International argues teachers, journalists, women human rights defenders and those who've worked with the UK are among thousands at immediate risk under the Taliban. Amnesty recently reported on how Taliban fighters murdered 9 ethnic Hazara men in grisly killings. The UK now needs to act with urgency and real generosity. We strongly support the proposed resettlement scheme to come, and the ongoing evacuation and relocation should be made eligible for at-risk Afghans trapped in the country, as well as family members, not just current or former UK employed staff. Afghans who arrive in the UK independently should receive protection, including those who are already here, and the Home Office should drop plans to criminalise them. It should also look urgently to extend family reunion visas to enable the UK's Afghan community to provide sanctuary. Readers can support our campaign www.amnesty.org.uk/Afghanistan crisis.
Please reconsider, begs Ms D. Godfrey of Newport. Can someone please explain why the Isle of Wight Festival appears to be going ahead this year? We have a pandemic which is causing havoc in our population, with island rates currently among the highest in the country, and more recent deaths in our hospital. Vaccines are doing a great job in helping keep more serious illness at bay, but sadly they do not prevent people getting ill, nor, it has recently been shown, stop vaccinated people passing on the virus to others. Having an extra 50,000 people suddenly arrive here, using ferries, buses and supermarkets, is a huge risk, which is likely to cause a big increase in cases, hospitalisation and probably deaths. How will our health services and community cope, and why should we? As well as putting our population at risk, going ahead with the festival risks the futures of our visitors. People of all ages enjoy the festival, but it is especially attractive to young people who seem to be particularly at risk from long COVID. Thousands of teenagers will be coming for the festival, many of them too young to have been offered the vaccine. At the time the decision to postpone the festival by a few months was made, we had no idea how bad the situation would be now, and it is clear from elsewhere that big events such as festivals are followed by a big increase in cases of COVID in the host population. Please can the organisers and Isle of Wight Council reconsider in the interests of public health and safety and not put the profits of a few rich people above our lives and those of our visitors. John Giddings recently said that the festival would be cancelled over his dead body, but sadly not to cancel could result in the deaths of others and in a great deal of suffering which could be avoided. Please think again.
And now a letter. Who is really representing our town? And this has been sent in by Lou Temmel on behalf of the Ride branch of the Conservative Committee, Ride. 2 major issues currently confront the people of Ride: the proposed large-scale housing developments on the outskirts of the town and the interchange development proposed at the bottom of Union Street, the pier and part of the esplanade. The housing developments at Westridge Farm and Pennyfeathers pose immediate environmental concerns. Many residents have experienced the consequences of inadequate drainage systems being unable to cope with large amounts of surface water. To assume deluges as experienced on July the 25th and August the 2nd are once-in-a-lifetime events goes against scientific and meteorological understanding of shifting weather patterns. Until drainage systems are in place that can cope with the huge amounts of water generated by the storms, a moratorium is needed on all large-scale building projects. Concreting over greenfield sites would not alleviate current problems. Proper analysis, foresight and investment are required to update current drainage systems. Before permitting further development, the Isle of Wight Council and Southern Water should ensure that infrastructure is fit for purpose and can protect existing properties. The proposed interchange development is also of major concern. The rationale underpinning the scheme with reference to the road layout and the vehicular access to the pier at the bottom of Union Street is questionable. Since the removal of the vehicle access entry tollgate, traffic is able to get onto the pier without hindrance. Therefore, the notion that a mini flyover is needed to access the pier in order to avoid blocking traffic flow is without validity. It needs to be remembered that traffic using the pier is already island traffic. Ryde is not a gateway for vehicles coming onto the island. For foot passengers arriving at Ryde, there is a comfortable synergy between the catamaran, the hover and the bus, rail and taxi services, which are all easily accessible. Ryde Town Council should be ashamed it even considers closure of the public conveniences in this locality. These are the most used in Ryde. And the open-air cafe is a priceless asset in COVID times. There can be no argument regarding the need to smarten up the pier and make more use of it. The suggestion from a Ryde Town and Isle of Wight councillor that we should agree to a proposal which unnecessarily blights Ryde's seafront, otherwise grant funding will be lost, is quite frankly beyond belief. Who is this councillor representing? It is certainly not our Ryde.
John Steege and Sharon Merrick of Sandown say that helicopter flights are noisy and unfriendly to the environment. The following is an extract from a letter they wrote to the director of Sandown Airport. Dear Mr. Subani, we are both passionate about Sandown and will support any event or business that will encourage visitors and residents to the town. However, we draw the line when an event occurs which we feel has a detrimental impact on the residents of Sandown. We are referring to the event which took place this bank holiday weekend, organised by Adventure 001 Limited. We had to endure 3 days of constant noise and air pollution caused by an excessive number of helicopters giving people a ride, using 3 helicopters, one flying over every 4 to 5 minutes between 10 a.m. and 7 p.m, amounting to well over 50 flights a day, equalling over 150 flights in 3 days. We welcome events at the airport and often attend them ourselves, and we are good customers of the airport bistro. However, our weekend was ruined by the number of helicopters flying above our bungalow, and we understand this company is returning in October. These helicopters are flying what appeared to be below 500 feet above our bungalow. Furthermore, 68 decibels is considered to be a safe, acceptable noise. However, the helicopter's decibels are 87. Clearly not safe nor acceptable. While we do not consider ourselves killjoys, we do strongly feel the health and well-being of the community should be considered against a business who will clearly be raking it in. We are guessing Mr. McLaren, the director of Adventure 001, will be making far more money than the financial gains the airport has made. We urge you to reconsider allowing this company or any other aircraft adventure company to return. We tolerated the noise during a recent charity event as it was for a good cause and as the aircraft were not as frequent, but knowing a business is making profits at the expense of people's health is hard to swallow. Helicopters have been shown to be major sources of polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon particles, known as PAHs, an especially dangerous component of particulate air pollution. Helicopters emit far more CO2 than cars. We are doing our best in slowing down climate change with solar panels, water butts, a wildflower area, more trees and an electric car. We would hope more people like yourself would realise the threat climate change has on the planet, and encouraging people to get kicks out of a helicopter ride is not helping the situation. We believe we are speaking on behalf of many residents in the Bay Area who would agree with our sentiments. We look forward to your reply.
The Bryston route bus crews are superstars of Southern Vectis. So says Councillor Pearl Adams from Bryston. May I please, through the county press, say a huge thank you to everyone at Southern Vectis. Thank you to the cleaning staff who have kept our buses safe and clean during the pandemic, the office staff who have always been helpful, and most of all the bus drivers who have remained cheerful and helpful. Special thanks to those on the buses I use regularly, the number 12, where particularly John, Paul, Richard and Steve have been amazing. Incidentally, I love the new information office, especially the great picture of the number 12 on the best bus route on the island. Many, many thanks to you all.
Young sports stars are forgotten COVID losers, says Ian Mackay of Totland. As the UK continues its crawl back to normality, we're only just beginning to assess the damage done by COVID and the lockdowns. One group badly scarred over the last 2 years has been the pre- and early teens with sporting ambitions. The closure of sports facilities, training camps, coaching clinics and the cancellation of matches, and crucially trials for professional clubs and academies, has meant thousands of children and young adults have missed, possibly forever, their ambitions of pursuing a sporting career. Most families will not have had the luxury of free open spaces and large gardens, nor the ability to afford expensive training gear, nor the time and wherewithal to help and coach this generation fill the void in their sports training and education. The majority of children will have missed vital development years, and many will have just given up altogether. Most children in the 13 and 14-year age group who had been offered places in the 2020-2021 cancelled academy trials in some sports I know of, are about to be told that their spot has not been rolled forward to the under-15s and 16s. And while clubs will send out extra scouts to try and ensure that talent does not fall between the cracks, it is inevitable most of those children in the younger groups simply will not get a look in, and their hopes of a career in sport, or playing to a really high standard, will have been dashed. Sport adds to the health of the population. It also employs hundreds of thousands, makes a huge contribution to tax revenues. One only has to look at the boost given to the morale of the UK population by the Euros and the Olympics. Yet, no consideration was given to the generation of young talent.
Now, Malcolm Garbutt from Waterlooville is looking for his old Bembridge mates. I was born and brought up in Bembridge, but left many years ago, and I would like to try and contact some old mates if they are still alive. The people I am trying to find and contact are as follows. Michael Rodwell, in brackets Sam, last known to me as living at 11 Howgate Lane, Bembridge, and also David, in brackets Flogger Young, who lived in Stein Road, and finally Patrick Gleeson, who was then living at 7 Howgate Lane, Bembridge. I know that most of us, over the years, lose contact with each other, which is such a shame. I would be very grateful for any help readers can give. The only photo I have of me, back in the late 1960s, is in uniform, at the front of the fire appliance just after we'd rolled it on the way to a fire in Ryde. Our station was then left with a green goddess until we got a new one. I left the Isle of Wight just after Christmas in 1969. But Bembridge was such a friendly village to grow up in.
And A Grammar Point of Disorder by Ian Uendo, whose address was supplied but withheld. Visiting the island, I was shocked to see in the county press property pages of 27th of August an advert from a estate agent featuring the slogan, "Polish your knockers and trim your bush." What are things coming to in local media? The standard of proofreading is appalling. The photograph accompanying the advert was very clear. It should obviously have read, "Polish your knocker and trim your bushes." Why doesn't someone check these things? At least you are staying away from the filth and obscenity we see elsewhere in the press.
Right, we're now going on to Wight Memories. And this week it's about the princesses of the seas and the skies. And it's written by Alan Stroud, who is the editor of the Isle of Wight County Press. Flying boats were very much of their time. Their strength lay in the fact that they could land or take off on the sea with no runway and no airport. That was very handy during the war years, but post-war things were different. Passenger air travel boomed, but peacetime travellers didn't want to land on lakes or seas in inaccessible places. They wanted a nice airport at the end of their journey, one with restaurants and duty-free. The writing was on the wall for flying boats, but it didn't stop the government ordering 3 of them in 1946. Called the Princess, they were to be made at East Cowes by Saunders Row in the sheds now occupied by GKN. It all sounded great. They would have a wingspan of 200 metres and powered by 10 3,500 horsepower engines. They would whisk up to 100 passengers through the skies at 350 miles per hour. At least, that was the plan. The problem was it took 6 long years to build the first Princess, and by the time it was finished, the miracle jet engine had arrived. Even before it took to the air, the Princess was obsolete, and its first test flight confirmed it. The engines were found to be hopelessly underpowered. It was the kiss of death. BOAC, a potential buyer, cancelled their order, and with that, the Princesses became expensive white elephants, which nobody wanted. While a decision was made about their future, they were cocooned. 8 tons of desiccant was placed inside each Princess, and the hulls were sprayed with 9 tons of plastic. 2 were taken into store at Calshot, and 1 stayed at Cowes, where it became a familiar landmark for years. In 1961, the government tried to sell them, but no one was interested. 2 years later, they tried again. In December 1963, the county press reported, if some of the proposals for their future use materialise, the Sleeping Princess flying boats are in for a rude awakening. The 3 giant planes which were never put into use cost nearly £11 million in the early 1950s and have been in protective cocoons for 8 years. The War Office has now offered them for sale, but they are only expected to fetch scrap prices. They were opened for inspection by prospective purchasers last week, and about a dozen interested persons were shown around the Cowes plane. Several had plans to scrap the 140-ton giants. Mr. D. Tailby, a car dealer of Leicestershire, said he planned to take one back to his hometown, set it in a sea of concrete to become a restaurant. The Bachelors, a pop singing group, were interested in making one into a floating jazz club and coffee bar for teenagers moored in the sea off Brighton. None of these schemes came to anything, and it seemed it was the end for the Princess. But wait, in 1964, agents for NASA expressed an interest in buying them to use as transporters for components for the Saturn V space rockets. Quick as a flash, the cocooning was removed. It was bad news. The desiccant hadn't worked, corrosion had set in, and the airframes had deteriorated beyond repair. It was the end. There was nothing for it but the breaker's yard.
And so it was that in the small hours of a dark and windy night in April 1967, the Princess made her final journey, a tow across the Solent to a Southampton scrapyard. The operation was carried out in pitch darkness, supervised by well-known Cowes rigger, wit and raconteur Harry Spencer. In typical Harry fashion, he directed affairs in Indiana Jones style, standing on top of the Princess, 60 foot above the dark, stormy waters below. The county press reported, on Tuesday the Princess was winched down to the water's edge at the British Hovercraft Corporation's slipway at East Cowes, in readiness for floating into the river on high water at 1 a.m. Soon after midnight, final preparations began, but the 140-ton flying boat stubbornly refused to become seaborne until 2 a.m. The difficult task of manoeuvring the unwieldy craft, with its 220-foot wingspan, through the harbour in pitch darkness was accomplished without incident. In the bitterly cold conditions and heavy rain, Mr. Spencer directed operations standing on the top of the 58-foot high hull. As the 3 towing launches started turning the Princess off the Royal Yacht Squadron, the huge hull was buffeted by a force 4 northeasterly wind. This swept the plane tail first down the choppy West Solent for nearly a mile, dragging the launches with it. They finally gained control of the runaway Princess just beyond Egypt Point. Later in the morning, launches assisted a tug to complete the tow to the flying boat's final destination on the River Itchen. And that was that. A few months later, nothing was left of the Princess but memories of what might have been, and a very expensive pile of scrap.
And now we have my view from a Jonathan Young. And he says, let's seize this chance to shape the island's future. As we take a final drag from the dog end of what's had to pass for a summer, let's hear it, please, for the scores of workers and volunteers who've kept their noses to the grindstone these past weeks and months in one particular dusty corner of the island's administration. I speak, of course, of the effort which has gone into producing the 245-page draft island planning strategy, together with its interactive 64-layered map. And no, I'm not joking. An up-to-date planning strategy reviewed every 5 years is something every planning authority needs, and none more so than ours. For so long as it doesn't, default government-imposed provisions kick in, robbing the council of the ability to block some developments which ought to be blocked. The island's 2012 plan is out of date, as applicants involved in a variety of recent contentious planning applications have been quick to point out. Put simply, the lack of a coherent plan to provide the housing growth the island undeniably needs means a large measure of the discretion over what to build, where to build it, and on what terms passes from our elected representatives to those doing the building. Not good. Worse, moves are afoot to impose new and higher targets on local authorities, especially in the southeast. It's a political hot potato at the moment, but the risk is real. Authorities without a properly refreshed plan are particularly vulnerable, and time is short. It's in this context that the draft strategy has, at considerable speed, now reached the public consultation phase, which runs until October the 1st, and can be found via the Consultations tab on the iow.gov.uk front page.
Town and parish councils, part of the island's unpaid and often unthanked administrative backbone, are busily dissecting and digesting it, as will be a variety of interest groups. But the consultation is, of course, open to every islander. And as an all-island strategy, it encompasses a great deal more than simple house building, a holistic approach, if you want the jargon. For that reason, unadulterated NIMBYism simply isn't going to cut it. If the consultation responses are largely of the not here, somewhere else genre, then the opportunity to discuss much else will have been missed. Preservation of our privileged environment has to be managed alongside, rather than in competition with, basic social and economic needs. There is, for example, the urgent problem facing the island, along with other tourist areas, notably Cornwall, of how to generate affordable homes which will go to islanders and stay with islanders. Councils have some powers here, but the underpinning legislation is leaky and needs strengthening. Attention also needs paying to the mismatch, real or perceived, between housing development and the infrastructure and the jobs needed to support it. The draft strategy outlines some building blocks: an emphasis on digital infrastructure, support for tourism development and the evening economy, for example, some of which may not be universally popular, which can't be ignored if people are to have a job to go to as well as somewhere to live. Opportunities to shape the island's future in a thoughtful and structured way don't come round that often. I hope we can all make the most of this one.
And now an article by Colin Pope from the Natural History and Archaeological Society. And he says, leaving your lawn uncut may bring orchid benefits. If you have not mown your lawn recently, you may be fortunate to see little spikes of white-flowered plants springing up as if from nowhere. These could be autumn ladies' tresses, the last of our orchids to come into flower. Small, white, sweet-scented flowers open in a tight spiral up the greyish, upright stems. If you examine them closely, you will see that they are very beautiful. The autumn lady's tresses orchid is described as being a nationally threatened species because of the decline of this plant over the past 50 years. However, on the island it appears on many lawns at this time of the year. Its natural habitat is on our chalk downs, and we used to think that it only grew on lawns that were originally laid from turfs taken from the downs, a not uncommon practice in the past. However, we find this orchid on so many lawns that this cannot be the only explanation. Because of our very wet summer, lawns have been mown more frequently this summer, so the young flowering stems may be mown off. This does not harm the plant. It can persist for many years without flowering, and in hot, dry summers can flower profusely on uncut lawns. The plant grows a winter green basal rosette of leaves in early September, close to the ground, so they miss the mower blades. By early June, these leaves will have withered away.
Laura P.C. Wilcox, leader of the Isle of Wight Council, says the council will continue to hold the water firm to account. When I last wrote this column, we had just experienced some of the worst rainfall on record on the island. While it has not been the best summer in terms of sunshine since then, at least we have not experienced further heavy rain for the last few weeks. However, autumn and winter are approaching, and with that in mind, we held the promised meeting with Southern Water a few weeks ago. The meeting was good, and our requests for greater information and engagement were answered positively. We are now in ongoing dialogue to address some of the root causes of the issues of concern. As part of this process, the agencies dealing with our water system, including Southern Water, are also appearing before next week's Corporate Scrutiny Committee for further questions to be asked. While we have not had the best weather, we have been very busy as a tourist destination, and many of our businesses have been able to start the process of recovering from the pandemic. It has not been easy. Many places have experienced severe staff shortages, or those staff that are working have often been pinged. Nevertheless, I am glad to see that we're on the slow road to recovery. My personal thanks go to all staff who continued to work during this extraordinarily busy time. The signs are good, and if we can build on the popularity the island has experienced this summer, as we must, we could be looking forward to a bumper year next year to help us fully recover. If so, this will further help us help those who have struggled and are still struggling. As I said when my administration took office, I will ensure as best we can that the council will do what it can to help the recovery and to promote a more positive future. We cannot pretend that the pandemic is over, but we must continue with the good practice of hand washing, gels and masks in busy areas. It's up to us all to do our part.
Right, now we've got an article on nostalgia. It sounds like a foreign language, but when we asked members of the We Grew Up on the Isle of Wight Facebook group about the local dialect words and phrases they used when they were growing up, this is what they remembered. The Facebook post attracted more than 100 answers, with lots of people remembering Nipper, Namit, Gallybagger, Jasper, Corkhead and Malishag. The origins of Corkhead, the name for an islander, were discussed and were thought to be connected to caulking, which is a shipbuilding term. When something is lost, islanders often comment that it will probably turn up in Outer Mongolia. Anybody know why? While many people also remembered saying they were going down Cays or Cays when they were heading for Cowes, even though Cowes is at the northern tip of the island, so you would be travelling upwards on a map. One possible theory about this is that you are heading for sea level, so going down to the sea. The Devil's Dancing Hour, or midnight, was mentioned, as was firkin, or to firk, which means to fuss around continually, as someone might when searching for something, or a dog might when scratching. Collecting wiggle waggles, which are the seeds of the totter grass, were also remembered by members of the We Grew Up on the Isle of Wight Facebook group. There are a lot of books on local phrases, including a dictionary of the Isle of Wight dialect and of provincialisms used in the island by W.H. Long, which was originally published by George Brannan of the County Press in the 1880s and is still available in print or online from Forgotten Books. This edition has a list of subscribers within it, which reads like an old island who's who, plus a Christmas boys' play, the Huam Harvest, an old Isle of Wight songs, and an amazing description of bargain Saturdays, which were the fixed times of the year for hiring yearly farm servants and generally ended in revelling in long-gone Newport pubs. Now, there are plenty of pictures here, and Kate and I are going to try and
well, a straightforward one is, in more recent times, many islanders have come to associate Gallybagger with a particularly nice local cheese, but it was the old name for a scarecrow, and a girt malishag, a large caterpillar. The origins of girt are interesting, as most islanders believe it to mean large, but the W.H. Long Dictionary gives the definition as great. Fortunately, we all know a malishag is a caterpillar. When your parents say, "Were you born in a barn?" they mean it's cold in here, so please shut the door. Namit is lunch, and labourers carried it in a scran bag. If you were working in the fields soon after dawn, you may have had dubit too. All right, Nipper? Meant hello, boy. Many islanders still use the term nipper. And as asked, if you know why it turns up in Outer Mongolia, let us know, because we don't.
Right. Newchurch Flower Fest. All Saints Church in Newchurch is holding its annual Flower Festival on September the 17th and 18th. The theme will be a celebration of harvest. As well as all the floral displays, there will be a raffle with great prizes and refreshments, and light lunches available. The event is open from 10 till 4 each day.
Sandown Library is restarting its cinema screenings from Friday, September the 10th. The first showing is the 2019 adaptation of Little Women, which has a PG category. Everyone who attends is required to wear a face mask throughout the entire evening, the only exemption being a proven medical condition. The library asks people to consider whether they are happy to comply before purchasing a ticket. Refreshments will not be sold until further notice. Tickets are £3 per person. Doors will open at 6:40 p.m. and close promptly at 7 p.m. when the film starts.
And now the Isle of Wight Gin Festival. The Isle of Wight Gin Festival is back and will showcase 15 gins against a backdrop of entertainment. The 5th festival is being held at Quay Arts on the weekend of October the 2nd and 3rd. Award-winning Mermaid Gin will feature, with Fever Tree the choice of mixer. Why not sample small batch gins, as well as other British favourites and gin liqueurs? A raffle will be held in aid of the Wight Brainy Bunch, as well as live music, G&T cupcakes and talks by visiting distillers. A gin and jive session will be held on the Sunday afternoon with the Bunker Girls. A DJ playing funky retro sounds will provide Saturday's sounds. Local musician Greg Barnes plays both days, and listen out for Steve Love's quirky island songs. Tickets are £10 to include 4 tasting tokens, or £18.95 to include a tapas platter via online at www.keyarts.org.
Alan Marriott says there is a royal reminder of the Isle of Wight Day fun. What better way to remind people that Isle of Wight Day is only a week away than posing King Charles I and Nipper, the official mascot, in front of Carisbrooke Castle? The weekend of celebrations, remembrance and thanks runs from September the 10th to the 12th. This year's special Isle of Wight Day weekend will be an opportunity for all islanders to celebrate and offer thanks to the thousands of islanders who have volunteered their services to the community, as well as remembering those that we have tragically lost. The events start next Friday with a community service of reflection and remembrance at Newport Minster from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Isle of Wight Lord Lieutenant Susie Sheldon will preside over the service, which will remember the 300 islanders lost through COVID over the past 16 months. One of the big events of the weekend will be the Family Fun Day at Carisbrooke Castle on Saturday. From 10 a.m. to noon, island volunteers will be welcomed for free. Then from noon to 6 p.m, island residents can attend for a day of celebrations at the castle. An Isle of Wight Day spokesperson said, "Our focus this year is to thank the thousands of volunteers who have supported us through the pandemic. There will be live music, bouncy castles, come and meet King Charles I, build a castle, market traders, food and more. Also on the Saturday, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m, there will be an open air in the square in St Thomas's Square, Newport. This is a medieval market, including children's workshops, butter making, market stalls, music and more."
£5,500 has been raised for the lifeboat. Ahoy me hearties! The crowds turned up in their hundreds to help Freshwater Independent Lifeboat fill their coffers with pieces of 8. The first open day for more than a year had a pirate theme, and 2 new sponsors in Spence Willard and Solent Spirit. Community partners such as Freshwater Fire Station, NCI Needles, Isle of Wight Search and Rescue, along with Suicide Prevention and Intervention Isle of Wight, all set up stalls. Raffle prizes included Red Funnel, who chose the Independent Lifeboats as its charity of the year, donating 5 return tickets, and the Isle of Wight Festival a pair of weekend tickets. Freshwater Residents Association manned the barbecue, and the lifeboat volunteers cooked up a storm with a selection of 18 different cakes. Bands provided live music through the afternoon. Rod Adams, the principal fundraiser, said, "We raised an incredible £5,500, and this massive and record amount was the result of a lot of hard work by our team of volunteers and friends, without whom we could not keep the service running. It was gratifying to see so many people in the bay obviously really enjoying themselves. Everyone really needed this wonderful boost of normality after a very hard 15 months. As the open day wound down, Isle of Wight Bar's big red bus provided refreshment and snacks to the visitors.
Teenage Island talent James Fletcher has earned an elite training place. This is a giant leap forward for a developing triathlete. An island-born triathlete, James Fletcher, has earned the right to rub shoulders with the national elite in his sport, some of whom performed in the recent Tokyo Olympics, following a superb season on the race circuit. The 18-year-old former Cowes Enterprise College student was handed a week's trial at the British Triathlon Performance Centre in Bath recently. The squad is home to stellar athletes, which includes Vicky Holland, who recently competed in the Tokyo Olympics, George Goodwin, the European 70.3 half Ironman champion, and many others. James, who currently trains at the South Gloucestershire and Stroud College's Cycling Academy and the Triathlon England South Central Academy, was offered the trial after achieving solid results on the National Elite Racing Circuit this year. After a tough week of training, James was offered a spot on the performance squad, starting next month, to train full-time, with the hopes of turning pro in the near future. James, who grew up in Cowes, developed from purely cycling into triathlon. Early on in my development, I was very lucky to receive support from the Isle of Wight Triathlon Club before meeting my current coach, former under-23 world champion Matt Sharp, who is also based in Cowes, James explained. Over the next couple of years, my goals are to represent Great Britain at the European Junior Championships and to look towards the next round of Commonwealth Games qualification.
The TV star Raj loves Ventnor. Antiques expert Raj Bistrom loves Ventnor and keeps coming back for his holidays, he told the county press at the weekend. The TV star, known for Bargain Hunt, Antiques Road Trip, Flog It and an infamous appearance on Would I Lie to You, has been enjoying the delights of the seaside town. He said, "I'm happy to promote Ventnor as I come here a lot. I live in Kent, but my friends have a house here. I have a passion for antiques and so on, and coming to the Isle of Wight takes me back. I love the history of the place. Ventnor people have such warmth and welcome me everywhere. I love talking to the locals. The bars are fun, and one landlord I met, Brian, had some good stories to tell." Raj said among his favourite places on the island are the Garlic Farm and the Smoking Lobster on Ventnor seafront. He has enjoyed drinks in the Blenheim and Perks and meals at Tour de Monde this week. The county press caught up with him at tea in the park, putting green in Ventnor. The county press caught up with him at tea in the park, Putting Green in Ventnor, where he had earlier enjoyed tea and cake. He also has his eye on some dinosaur footprints he spotted in Ventnor's Longshoreman Museum. He loves the museum and all the fossils and has been a couple of times. Owner Sophie Blake said, "He wants to buy my dinosaur footprints off me, but I want them kept in the museum as they were found on the island. I told Raj that I think they should stay here as they were found here."
The Co-op reveals the best-loved island products. Isle of Wight milk and free-range eggs are the products most ordered through a same-day delivery service run by Southern Co-op. It says 8 new jobs have been created and has revealed plans to expand the service here. It has already been extended to some places, including the Cowes area, and will go live island-wide from September the 13th. Island-made Mingle ice cream and products from Bridlesford Farm Dairy, the Garlic Farm and the Tomato Stall are all included in the delivery service. Andy Batt, Head of Group Development at Snappy Shoppers, said, "We're thrilled to extend our service. Post-lockdown, the demand for home delivery is greater than ever, and via our app, islanders can receive home deliveries 7 days a week. The Snappy Shopper app gives islanders access to the service, available via Apple and Android."
A blood bottle shortage. An international shortage of blood bottles has led to the suspension of non-essential blood tests on the Isle of Wight. The problem could last for weeks, according to the national media, and advice has been issued to NHS staff. A notice was put up on Facebook by Ventnor Medical Practice, which states there is currently an international shortage of blood bottles used for taking samples, and clinicians working in GP practices, hospitals, community and mental health trusts, and ambulance trusts have been asked to suspend non-essential blood tests. Our clinicians and managers in Hampshire and the Isle of Wight are working together to be more efficient. We will ensure we don't waste blood bottles and that we don't duplicate tests which have already been done. We are being thoughtful about which tests are ordered and prioritising those tests which will have an immediate impact on the diagnosis or treatment.
The New York paper's take on Isle of Wight life. The island is featured in a write-up in the New York Times, in an article that paints a mixed picture of life and the hospitality industry here. In the article, What a UK Staycation Looks Like in a Pandemic, COVID, the Pingdemic and Brexit get mentions, along with staff shortages and uncooperative weather. There are quotes from business people reporting a mixed picture of losses and gains caused by the challenges brought by the lockdown. English Heritage's Osborne, the Needles, Newport, Calbourne Mill and Sandown Pier all get a mention. And it is available to read in the New York Times.
The Chine Queen's 90th birthday. Anne Springman, the force behind the Isle of Wight's Shanklin Chine attraction, celebrated her 90th birthday with a big party last week. Anne, who has run the Chine since 1979 and has seen it grow over the years, welcomed fellow deputy lieutenants, Shanklin business owners and friends from across the island to a tea party in the Chine. The event followed a family party the day before. Anne told the county press it had been 42 years of hard work to get the Chine where it is today. She said, "It took me a while to be accepted, and I was running the Chine while living in the old estate office. I had never run a business before, but my experience working as a secretary in London stood me in good stead. Gradually I became accepted and worked with the friends of the old village for the good of the town." Anne said one of the highlights had been appearing on Down Your Way with fellow South Wight characters Ted Findon, Viv Cherryman and Terry Nye, when they were interviewed by broadcaster Brian Johnson. She said one constant was her fascination with the history of the Chine. As well as the well-documented military history of Shanklin Chine, there have been poets, artists and royalty who have visited it down the years. Anne added that the party had been a wonderful opportunity to meet old friends in her favourite place.
A £40,000 appeal has been launched by a community interest company trying to restore Newport's markets. Market Days CIC has started a crowdfunder campaign. It wants to set up regular markets supporting new producers, artisans and traders from across the island. If it gets the cash, its plans include staging a Christmas market. The not-for-profit organisation says it needs money for extras such as administration and advertising. It also wants to be able to offer advice and workshops for new traders and support them with insurance and finance. Markets have been held in the county town since the 12th century. This time last year, markets were taking place on Fridays. They have since moved to the weekend.
And so it's time now to say goodbye from Lynn.
And goodbye from Kate. Goodbye. There is no scaffolding news this week. August's newsletter follows, and the In Touch programme is after that. And that programme is Gold at the Tokyo Paralympics. Jim's doing good things. Over the weekend, Team GB's visually impaired athletes won multiple medals, including gold across the cycling, swimming and judo. We check in with our reporter Mani Jalmi, who brings us details of those medal wins and interviews with some of our gold medalists. And there could be many reasons why you'd be put off visiting the gym. It could be perceived attitudes or thinking that gyms may not provide the necessary adaptations for you. Well, under the Equalities Act, it is a legal requirement for a gym or leisure centre to make reasonable requirements if you request them. And tonight we'll be hearing about a gym that have done just that for their visually impaired members. We promise we're not trying to push you into training like a Paralympic athlete, but instead would like to show you that getting active can be easier than you may think.
Welcome to our August newsletter. We provide a wide range of interesting activities which are gradually starting again as restrictions ease. The Volunteers' Tea Party went very well due to all the staff planning. It was such an enjoyable morning and everyone took advantage of catching up with each other. Where would we be without our volunteers? The Members' Day on Saturday the 11th of September will be very interesting, with companies demonstrating their products and being there in person to answer questions. It is marvellous to hear from our members how successful the introduction of the Alexa skill has proved. Another site for Wight, innovative technology, is the Hello Everyone QR code. It is being used at Hampshire and Isle of Wight Police and has now been taken up by several parish councils, with meetings planned with the main council soon. We must thank Lisa, our CEO, for this. Her drive and determination to put this in place has meant that Sight for Wight's name is now reaching many more people. Dress for Less, managed so ably by Debbie Durbridge and supported by Amy and Hilary and our loyal volunteers, continues to be such an enjoyable shopping experience. A great place to find affordable, high-end clothing and, most importantly, making a positive contribution to the income of Sight for Wight. I would like to thank the staff who go the extra mile and the Board of Trustees who put in many hours of voluntary work so that we may achieve our aims of supporting the island's VI community. Thank you.
Hello, this is Lisa, CEO of Sight for Wight, reading the CEO update for the August 2021 newsletter. As the school holidays draw to a close, I find myself thinking, where have they gone? I did manage 2 weeks away in Spain with the children though, I have to say, and it was a very welcome change of scene. I'm delighted to report that Sight for Wight's Hello Everyone QR code goes from strength to strength. I have been very careful to stick to the original idea, which is twofold, to put the written word into an audio format and to provide access to buildings to find a human being. On the first aim, we now have several parish councils adopting the codes on, for example, heritage boards. And I finally have a meeting with the Isle of Wight Council to move their accessibility, frankly, into the 21st century, with large print as a very basic requirement, moving on to audible and using our QR codes. On the second aim, we have got our codes into ferry companies, police stations, just as examples. These building-based QR codes are designed to offer a straightforward introduction into the building, detailing which way the door opens, if it is automatic, for example, and give a mind's eye view of the room as you enter, where stairs are, lifts are, and the directions to get to the reception desk to find a person. I truly believe keeping it simple and allowing VI people to navigate under their own steam, just as they would normally, but with a helping hand, is the way forward. I will, of course, keep you all posted. Stay safe and enjoy the sun whilst it's out. Lisa.
Members' activities. Monday swimming at Medina Leisure Centre. Weekly swimming will start at Medina Leisure Centre on the 6th of September between 1:30 and 2:30 p.m. This replaces the Ride Tuesday night swimming. If you would like to attend, please call the office to book a space. And if you require transport, the cost is £5 and £2.50 for transport.
Monthly Lunch Club. Monthly Lunch Club is held on the second Tuesday of each month. September's club is on the 14th at Ryde Castle. If you would like to come along, please call the office to book, and also if you would like transport. Enclosed is a photo of last month's lunch club.
Our Place, Mower Place, Freshwater. We are pleased to announce Sight for Wight will be back at Our Place every second Tuesday in the month. This is held at West Wight Swimming Pool, Mower Place, Freshwater, between 10:30 and 11:30 a.m. Our Place is a weekly free drop-in chat and support session for anyone of any age and in any circumstance. Staffed by volunteers from the local churches and community, we will be there to help with any questions or help you may require. There will be a member of staff along with our volunteer, John.
Wednesday Coffee and Chat. We will be holding a coffee and chat each week at Millbrook House from 10 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. All are welcome to join us for a cup of tea or coffee and cake. The cost is £1 and the group is open to all, not just members. On the first Wednesday of each month, we are joined by the Macular Society for their monthly meet-up. On the second Wednesday of each month, we are inviting people to bring along a friend, relative, neighbour to enjoy coffee and cake with us. On the third Wednesday of each month, we will be joined by Laura Gouljar, the local ECLO from St Mary's Hospital. On the fourth Wednesday of each month, we will have a trustee/member of staff on hand to answer questions about the charity. Enclosed is a photo of Laura Gouljar at the Wednesday Coffee and Chat.
Low Vision Drop-In. Every Wednesday we have a drop-in session which allows you to view and try the low vision equipment we have at Sight for Wight without the need of an appointment. If this time is not suitable for you, then you are welcome to call us to make an appointment to view our low vision equipment.
Thursday Mix and Mingle Social Group. The Thursday Mix and Mingle Social Group meets every week at Millbrook House from 10:30 until 2, where they engage with other visually impaired people. They socialise, enjoy planned activities including craft/quizzes and entertainment. Members bring along their own packed lunch and enjoy together. The group welcomes volunteers who come in to read from various books. The weekly cost to join the group is £3. Transport can be arranged for an extra cost of £2.50. Last month, the group enjoyed World Friendship Day and a day at the beach, where we ate delicious ice creams and the members went home with a stick of rock. Enclosed is a photo of the beach day.
Monthly book group. Sight for Wight hold a book group on the second Wednesday of each month. The group runs from 2 p.m. for around an hour. We discuss the last month's book and then hand out the book for the next month. Books are available on Alexa, digital download, USB stick or CD, and there is no charge to join.
Striders. Striders meet on the last Friday of every month. They walk on different routes around the island and finish off with a lunch at a local pub or restaurant. This group is open to all visually impaired people who like longer walks in the countryside. The cost to walk with the group is £3 and transport is £2.50 if required. Enclosed is a photo of the Striders walk.
Golf. The golfers meet once a month on a Sunday morning at Westridge Golf Club, Ride. The group go onto the driving range with an instructor, just for our group, available to help everyone from beginning to those playing regularly. The golf sessions are 45 minutes and followed by refreshments and a chat in the cafe. If you are interested in joining this group or any of our other activities, please just give us a call. Enclosed is a picture of one of our members on the driving range.
Monthly swimming at West Wight Swimming Pool. We will restart swimming at West Wight on 15th of September, the third Wednesday of the month, between 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. Due to COVID, we now need to book in advance, so please call the office by Friday, the 10th of September to book a space. Transport is available. The swimming group is held every week, and if you wish to join more frequently, please contact the Sports Centre directly on 752 168.
Exciting news! Yarn at Millbrook. A new group of members, volunteers and friends to come along and do their own projects using yarn, crocheting, knitting, macrame, anything yarn. The group will be held every other week at Millbrook House starting on Monday the 20th of September between 10 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. Come along and share ideas, techniques, projects, etc. and enjoy a cup of coffee and biscuits. Only £1 and everyone is welcome. Enclosed is a picture of Ruth in her recently crocheted cardigan. Ruth is also known as the blind knitter.
Audio Library. Our CD audiobooks are available on free loan to our VI members. Kate will send you a list of books by author and title from which you select your preferences. Audiobooks are sent out and returned to us by post as articles for the blind in protective reusable wallets at no cost. Once finished, you just pop it back in the post and Kate will send you a new one. There are over 2,100 titles to choose from. A huge thank you to our volunteer Kate, who comes in every single day to get books out ASAP and, single-handed, keeps the service, which is celebrating 46 years this month, thriving. Talking News. Now, our 41st year, we provide a free weekly talking newspaper service posted out on USB and on our Alexa skill, Sight for Wight. Each and every week, volunteers read a full selection of articles and letters from papers, County Press and Isle of Wight Observer, online and on air, on the Wight, Island Echo, Isle of Wight Radio and Vectis Radio. Radio 4 programme In Touch. Scaffolding news, Island Roads, to alert members about temporary pavement obstructions. Sight for Wight news, activities, information and advice. Please contact us if you would like to receive it on USB or wake your Echo device and enable the Sight for Wight skill to hear it.
Sight for Wight Members' Day at Millbrook House, read by Lisa. Join us to meet 10 other organisations all offering help, equipment, advice and support to visually impaired islanders on Saturday the 11th of September from 10:30am to 3:30pm. The 10 organisations attending are the Macular Society, living with macular-related conditions, Optileg, handheld, wearable and desktop magnifiers, the Rnib, equipment, technology, counselling and support, Blind Veterans, rehabilitation activities and support for ex-service personnel, Vision Aid, PC software to magnify and read out the screen, Guide Dogs, mobility training and family support, Isle Access, making the island accessible for everyone, the Rnid, assessment, advice, equipment and mobility, People Matter, equipment and advice for independent living, and Touchpoint Vision, handheld and wearable Orcam products. Thank you, Lisa.
Short story writing competition. Our annual short story writing competition for the 6th year is now open and our theme is The Vision. If you'd like to enter, you can call the office for an entry form, pop into Dress for Less or Waterstones or visit our website. This year's celebrities are Richard Cadell, a British illusionist, puppeteer and screenwriter best known for being the InVision presenter and the hand of puppet Sooty since succeeding Matthew Corbett in 1998. Amy Robbins, an English stage, film and TV actress best known for her role as Dr. Jill Wetherill in the British television series The Royal. Before her role in The Royal, she played Police Sergeant Rachel James in the BBC One hospital drama Casualty. Robert Dawes is an actor known for Outside Edge, Poldark, Swimming with Men, The Royal, playing the part of Dr. Gordon Ormerod, Casualty and Coronation Street, to name but a few. We hope to have our annual awards ceremony in early December, where our special guest will be Melvin Hayes. Remember, adult entries should be 1,500 to 2,000 words and under 18s up to 750 words. Good luck.
Meet volunteer Alan Shepherd. When I reached the stage of semi-retirement, I thought I would like to do some voluntary work. And having always driven commercial vehicles, I really liked the idea of minibus driving. I spotted a small advert in the County Press one day and approached Susan Gardiner at the Isle of Wight Society for the Blind, as it was known then. On the 9th of April 2013, I undertook my first role driving the swimmers, known as the Dolphins Group, to the waterside pool at Ride. My association with the Society goes back further than my volunteering. In 2006, I moved the Society from their home at Polars in Staplers Road to Millbrook House, and some years before that I moved the doctor's practice from Millbrook House to Fleming House in Carriagate Road. Interestingly enough, from my early years, I was a patient at Dr. Heathcote's practice in Millbrook House, so I know the building very well. His son now insures the minibus I drove through A-Plan Insurance in Newport. I have always thoroughly enjoyed the varied events that I have volunteered for, including Wednesday strollers, Thursday social club, yachting days, swimming, and the different shows we have attended. I hope that I have helped to bring some pleasure to all the wonderful members I have met over the years. Alan Shepherd.
100 Club winners, read by Lisa. Winners these last 2 months are Joyce and our trustee volunteer Paul. Each has already received their prize. If you'd like to join the Sight for Wight 100 Club, to get a number for just £2 a month, and you'll be helping to support us too. Thank you.
Meet member Eric Tuckwell. My name is Eric Tuckwell and I've had a slight problem since I was born with glaucoma in Newport in 1950. I attended the village school in Shorewall for a year before being transferred to a partially sighted school in Exeter after losing the sight of my left eye. I then had another move to a school for the blind in Bristol and finished my education at college in Shrewsbury, where I lost the sight of my right eye in a football-related accident. After leaving college, I returned to the island before training with my first guide dog in 1971. Zola is my 7th dog over the last 50 years. As jobs were hard to find here, I moved to London and lived in a hostel and found work with Whitbreads. I met Liz, the current Mrs. Tuckwell, on a blind date, and we married in August 1975 and lived in Kemsing near Sevenoaks for the next 28 years. We have 2 children who live in London and Cambridge and 5 grandchildren. After being made redundant by Whitbreads, I worked for Barclays Bank in Sevenoaks and Ashford before being made redundant again in 2000. We then moved back to the Isle of Wight and bought a new house in Newport. I am keen to promote the use of Braille and I'm very interested in technology, especially with my iPhone. I am an enthusiastic supporter of both Charlton Athletic and Exeter City football teams, and my hobbies include collecting old railway tickets. I have about 20,000 from about 6,700 different stations. I also collect railway signs and have a massive collection of model buses and vans, at least 400 of which are island related, as well as an extensive collection of old Isle of Wight postcards. I am extremely grateful to Sight for Wight for providing Striders Group for the last 15 or so years and the Swimming Group for the last 25 plus years. We both very much enjoyed the open day at the Royal Victoria Yacht Club in early July and hope that more activities can restart now that COVID restrictions are being lifted.
Tips directly from members. A good tip is to label everything. Get a sheet of labels from any stationery shop and use a Sharpie marker to write big bold letters. Cut out some of the labels, different shapes, that helps too. Stanley from Yarmouth.
Get as much daylight in the house as you can by removing net curtains and opening blinds. I found daylight bulbs were literally life-changing as they limit a different frequency of light, apparently. Making things easier to see, try them honestly, you'll really see a difference. Leslie from Newport.
Magnifiers are so helpful. I have different sizes and shapes for different things. I got them from a low vision clinic at St Mary's. then got a second-hand spare one from Sight for Wight, Dan from Cows.
If you have any tips for other members, please do not hesitate to let us know so we can include them.
Rnib Eye Health Advocacy. We believe that everyone should have fair access to the eye health services. We have therefore partnered with the Rnib to help individual people who are suffering barriers or delays accessing eye health services. Are you having problems, for example? Access to treatment, including cataract treatment. Access to rare treatment recommended by an ophthalmologist, e.g. individual funding requests. Access to low vision services for assessment, training or equipment. Access to patient transport, e.g. eligibility for patient transport. Delays to sight-saving treatment, e.g. anti-VEGF injections to treat wet age-related macular degeneration. Delayed appointments, in particular the monitoring of wet AMD, glaucoma and diabetic retinopathy eye conditions. Accessible health information, if a provider doesn't produce information for a patient in an accessible format. Referral process. Firstly, you should raise a complaint with the hospital through the Patient Advisory Liaison Service, PALS, for assistance. We can help with this. If this does not help, then we can refer you to the Rnib and they will support you through their Eye Health Advocacy Support Service. You can contact them directly by phoning Christine on 07734 964 706 or email christine.glanville@rnib.org.uk.
Volunteer update. Wow! What more can I say to the way our wonderful volunteers have all returned following lockdown and how everyone is offering to help over and above. It really is fantastic and I thank all of you. On Monday the 19th of July, we welcomed more than 40 volunteers to our Welcome Back coffee morning. And luckily the sun shone and everyone was able to enjoy tea and cake in the beautiful gardens at Millbrook House. The atmosphere was very jolly and everyone just seemed so happy to be back amongst friends at last. We still have volunteering roles available, so if you know a friend, relation or neighbour who may have an hour spare once a week, a fortnight or even a month, then please ask them to contact me and I can have an informal chat with them and send out a volunteer information pack. And hopefully they will soon be joining us at Millbrook House. Thank you once again for everyone's time and help. It really is very much appreciated. Susan, Volunteers Manager.
Befriending update. We have recently joined up with Southampton University, who are running a PALS research study called Genie, which means Generating Engagement in Network Involvement. The study was set up because about 30% of people in the UK report feelings of loneliness. This figure tends to increase as people get older. The aim of the project is to test whether loneliness and social isolation can be reduced by using Genie in the community. Genie is an online tool which helps to create a picture of a person's network of support and enables people to identify and engage with things they enjoy doing the most by linking them with community resources in their area. Southampton University is incredibly grateful to the members who they have been in contact with to help them with their research. We will keep you updated with the project as it progresses. It was so lovely to meet up personally with many of you at the lunch club and the Thursday Mix and Mingle social group. To hear laughter and chatter at Millbrook House is just so therapeutic. I am delighted to say that I am continuing my role as the befriending manager until next year. This is wonderful news for me, and I hope all of you have benefited from a befriending telephone call. Thank you to all our wonderful volunteers who have made it such a success. Elaine Bricknell.
Lisa reading the Dress for Less article on behalf of Debbie. I have now been working at Dress for Less for over 3 years, and during that time the most asked question is, have you got something with sleeves? Sleeves can be a lady's comfort blanket, and despite reassurances that their arms are not flabby and they look great, the response is always, no, I can't possibly show my arms. Many ladies fall head over heels in love with a dress without sleeves. Fantastic, you would think. However, this then leads to the search for a jacket, bolero or pashmina to hide their arms. I'm extremely proud that we often are able to help. Because we have new items arriving every day, we are usually able to provide a choice of outfits either with or without sleeves of various lengths, as well as a diverse selection of jackets and accessories. We can offer you a simple vest top right up to a stunning mother of the bride outfit and everything in between. We have recently helped young ladies get their prom dresses and helped a lady in her 90s to find her perfect wedding outfit. We are delighted to be able to offer choices of styles to all ages, sizes and shapes, and all at extremely competitive prices. We are now open Tuesday through to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. inclusive. Try Dress for Less first. We will always try our best to help you. Written by Debbie. 2 pictures. On the left, the lady with her wedding outfit, and on the right, a young lady with her prom dress. Thank you, Lisa.
Education Programme Update. The education programme finally began back in June. Since then, I have been to God's Hill, Chillerton and Rookley, Queensgate and Summerfields to deliver 10 sessions of the programme. This has been delivered to a variety of age groups, from reception to Year 6. Once again, thank you to the volunteers who have come with me. I appreciate the time you give and your enthusiasm for the programme. We received some good feedback from the schools, such as, the session was great, the kids really liked the practical tasks, and I would definitely like you to come back to teach my Year 6 in the spring term. I am now organising a hats and sunglasses day to reinforce how important it is to protect your eyes from harmful UV rays, especially for children. I am aiming for the first time ever to get every single Isle of Wight school engaged in the same activity on the same day during Eye Health Week this September. If this programme is of interest to you and you would like to volunteer to come and help me, please call the office and we can have a chat. I look forward to more schools being a part of this programme to help share the importance of keeping your eyes healthy and how to do so.
Hello, this is Lisa reading the Clearview C24 advert within the August 2021 Sight for Wight newsletter. The unique C shape provides you with more working space for reading a favourite newspaper, enjoying craft work or writing a cheque without being restricted in movement. The Clearview C24 HD offers the latest in high-definition camera technology. See the difference with superior quality image displayed on screen. Photographs are visible clearly and text appears smoother. The Clearview C is designed to increase your reading comfort and to match the interior of your home. Its modern and stylish fits perfectly in your living room or anywhere around the house. The recommended retail price is £2,095. However, with promotion code CV24, the price would be £1,795. We are back to doing free home demonstration. Call to see the Clearview C in your own home. Free phone 0800 145 6115 for more information, or visit lowvisionshop.co.uk. The article contains 3 pictures. The first is a picture of the machine detailing a cake on the screen, and the second picture is a lady sitting in front of the screen reading an article in a newspaper. Thank you, Lisa.
Greetings from St Mary's Hospital and the ECLO service. As we head towards the end of summer, the clinic remains busy as we continue regular clinic appointments and treatments, as well as working some weekends. I'm pleased to report I am now based back in the clinic again, and I'm available Tuesday to Thursday please contact me via the details provided in this article to have a chat over the phone or to arrange an appointment in clinic, whatever you're comfortable with. The ECLO service continues to be very popular, so please do bear with me if I can't contact you right away. Thanks, Laura. My mobile number is 07885 210 891, or you can email me at laura.gooljar@rnib.org.uk, and Gooljar is spelt GOOLJAR, so that's laura.gooljar@rnib.org.uk.
Visually impaired sailing. We've been contacted by Anil, who is the chairman of the Visually Impaired Sailing Association, offering sailing opportunities here on the Isle of Wight. They would be delighted to welcome new members of all abilities to join them. They aim to empower, motivate and encourage both blind and visually impaired people to join a team sailing yachts and have the chance to enjoy getting stuck in and involved in something that's great fun. They are run entirely by blind and visually impaired people. Please call us and we can put you in touch with them. They have made a video with full audio description that can be accessed by scanning the QR code.
E-scooter misuse. If anyone is misusing a Beryl e-scooter here on the island, you can report it and we will receive a donation. Report by: take a photo and email to support@beryl.cc. Calling 0203 003 5044. Scan the unique QR code on all e-scooters. E-scooters are already in Newport, Cowes and Ryde, but are now also in Sandown and Shankling at the following locations: East Yar Road, just before the entrance of College Farm; Yaverland Cafe, near the existing shed; Wild Heart Animal Sanctuary entrance next to the bike parking; Culver Parade near the stairs leading to Dinosaur Isle; Sandown High Street behind Sandringham; Sandown Pier pavement south of the existing cycle stands; The Heights north of the Civic Centre; Lake Hill Junction of Lake Hill and Lake Green Road; Desmond Price Close and Lee Road Junction; Newport Road Sandown just after the roundabout; Shanklin Bus Station next to Costa; Clarendon Road and Regent Street; West Hill Road East Pavement; Osborne Road and Eastcliff Promenade; Shanklin Beach at the Spa Coach Car Park; Hope Hill Long Stay Car Park, Shanklin Sailing Club; Sandown Road in front of Columbus House; Station Approach Junction with the Fairway; Landguard Road Junction with Marine Cross Road. Need any help identifying exact locations? Please call us.
Shanklin Theatre, Dad's Army. The nation's only tribute to the long-running hit comedy television series Dad's Army is at Shanklin Theatre on Sunday the 14th of November at 2:30 p.m. Sight for Wight has reserved seats for a fun-packed afternoon. This show is ideal for all audiences, regardless of whether you are familiar with the iconic TV show or not. The light-hearted, laugh-along, sing-along comedy show is a surefire hit. Tickets are £20 each. Please call us on 522205 by 10th of September. Please note Shanklin Theatre has confirmed there are no free carer tickets for this show.
Second-hand items. We have quite a range of second-hand items for sale, together with a good range of new items to try out. Some members also offer items for sale, like this screen reader, a DaVinci Pro all-in-one, purchased new in 2018 for $2,999 and is still like new. HD video magnifier, full page reading, text-to-speech. They would be looking to sell it for around £800 or near offer. If you are interested, please call us on 01983 522205.
Member Anna Southwell. A Sight for Wight member, Anna Southwell, was thrilled in December to have her first book published, titled Oliver Gruffle, Secrets of Harmony Haven, The Runaways. It's for children 5 to 10 years, but adults are loving it too. It is the first book in a series of 12, written when Anna had her sight. The story is about a very secret place on the Isle of Wight, and its amazing guardian is the magical Oliver Gruffle, and the only one on earth. He has powers that are just unbelievable. Now Anna is delighted to be able to donate £1 for any book sold through Sight for Wight. Discounted prices is £6.50. If postage is required, it's an extra £2. Book 2 is due to be published early in November and can be pre-ordered now. A big thank you to those of you who already have purchased my book and supported our wonderful club and charity in doing so. Anna Southwell.
Orcam Specialists. New handheld Orcam Read at Sight for Wight Open Day on the 11th of September 2021. Full range of Orcam devices available. Call 522205 to book your place. Ultra lightweight handheld and wearable Orcam devices offer full-page text-to-speech reading for post, menus, newspapers and books. Operated with both point and press and voice without any need for internet. Home demonstration and full training provided. Recommended retail price £2,000. Sight for Wight offer save £100, £1,900. Call Mike Page on 07545 951 797.
Wolverton Manor Garden Fair on Saturday the 4th of September and Sunday the 5th. We're delighted to say we will be at Wolverton Manor Garden Fair this weekend for our Sight for Wight stand manned by our kind volunteers. We have Christmas cards, hand-knitted gifts, children's lucky dip and a square raffle with a chance to win 3 superb hampers and much more. We hope to see you there.
Welcome to Terry's, well, not 20 teasers this time, but a puzzle, just one, to occupy what Agatha Christie's Poirot liked to call the little grey cells. So here is Terry's terrible puzzle. For her 50th birthday, a man bought his wife a special present, something that she had wanted for a long time. It cost him £5,000, but he knew she would be pleased with it, which she was, absolutely delighted in fact. Unfortunately, she'd only had the present about 2 weeks when it suffered a mishap and broke into several pieces which were beyond repair. However, neither she nor her husband were too upset, and he told her not to worry at all, as he could easily replace it for just a few pounds. What was this present? And now the answer to Terry's terrible puzzle. What was the present that cost £5,000, but when it broke was easily replaced for just a few pounds? A personalised vehicle number plate. Well, all being well, Terry's 20 teasers will be back next time, so bye for now.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Good evening. It's been a shower of gold for Team GB at the Paralympics, and visually impaired athletes have their own golden couple. Medals for Laura and Neil. We'll be hearing more about them in a moment. And if you're not quite a gold medalist yourself yet, but just want somewhere to ginger up your fitness a little, well, we're hearing about a gym where they're going out of their way to support their blind and partially sighted customers. But first, over to our reporter in Tokyo, Manny Jasmi, who's been covering a very successful Paralympics for us, not to mention starring on the Today programme. And by the sound of it, Manny, you're at poolside, are you?
I am indeed. I'm at the Tokyo Aquatic Centre, sitting just above the end that the swimmers touch to win gold or to be touched out of gold. It's the end of the races at this wall down below me. I was a bit worried actually last week that we might not have too many medals to talk about and we might have to hype things up a bit. But little did I know what was to come around the weekend. First, in the velodrome, Aileen McGlynn won a silver, although she may have felt that she lost it because she was in a gold medal position until the very last moment when she was picked by a Dutch rider. James Ball took a silver, but he finished behind Neil Fackie, who regained his 1,000 metres time trial that he lost in Rio. And then about a quarter of an hour later, Neil's wife Laura won her race, and they were really the stars of the weekend, of a very fruitful weekend for Britain, with their 2 gold medals.
Well, it's an irresistible story, isn't it? A couple both winning their golds, and you featured them last week, but perhaps they couldn't have dreamed that it would work out the way it has.
Well, Neil said that after he lost his gold, I mean, he still won a silver in Rio, but after he didn't win the gold, he said he thought about giving up and he lost motivation a bit. But he came back and he said that he would have to break the world record in order to win that medal, and that's exactly what he did. He broke the world record, but it all came good, and they are the British golden couple.
Right. Well, we better bring you to where you are, which is in the pool. Well, you're not in the pool, but beside it. And a race has obviously just begun. But again, our swimmers have been getting gold as well, one in particular.
Yes, today actually a couple of bronzes for Stephen Clegg and Hannah Russell. But Hannah Russell began the gold medals for visually impaired British athletes last week when she took gold herself in her first event. The other guys have done very well. We've had another gold medal today and a world record for Rhys Dunn. That's his second gold medal. But as I say, there were 2 bronzes here. Hannah Russell's chipped in with another one. Still a few more days to go. I always think that to be able to defend your title takes some guts, really. There must be a lot of pressure if you're the defending champion, and Hannah was the defending champion, and she still is.
And then there's the judo, where, Manny, we usually perform pretty well, but I think this time they may have excelled even their own expectations.
Well, to borrow a phrase from another sport, judo came home in the Olympics and Paralympics. Japan, of course, is where the sport was invented. And Britain picked up a couple of medals in the quite short competition. It was only 3 days long. Elliot Stewart, who listeners may remember from a few weeks ago on this programme, he won a silver in the up to 91 kilogram competition. But Chris Skelly won the gold in the up to 100 kilogram competition. And I was lucky enough to speak to both of them a day after their victories on Monday. And it meant that I could ask them a question that I've always wanted to ask gold and silver medalists.
What do you do with your medal when you go to sleep on the first night? I mean, do you have it under your pillow? Are you like a 6-year-old child who's just got their favourite football top for Christmas and has to wear it to bed? Well, what do you do?
We're quite similar, aren't we? We don't really like getting it out and showing it, whether we should really. It's the medal that we've always wanted to have, we've always dreamed of. But I had it on my bedside table last night, and I woke up this morning, rolled over and saw it, and I was like, it did actually happen yesterday. It actually happened. I don't know about you.
I didn't get any sleep last night, and then in the middle of the night, I was trying to get to sleep, and I was like, "Where is it?" And I had to put my light on and try and find it, and then put it near my bedside table in case I lost it. So yeah, it's quite a surreal moment.
What are your medals like? Have you got them with you?
They're very big. They're quite big, quite chunky. Yeah, they've got Braille on the one side with the Advocacy logo engraved inside, and then on the other side it's got the Tokyo Paralympic symbol with a star effect with I think it's flowers in it. I think it's the cherry blossom, I think, on the one side.
Everything's raised as well, so like even like the writing as well.
Yeah.
Tokyo 2020 is raised up as well, and so it's all about feel, and it's quite nice because so as you would know, it's certain times you miss certain things, but this is really nice to feel in your hand.
One of my favourite things about it is on the side, the gold medal has got 1 engraved dot on the side, and the silver's got 2, and the bronze medal will have 3. For the people that have got severe sight loss, they can feel what they've achieved. It's great.
And what's flat life been like?
How you deal with this one?
It's been an experience. No, it's been great fun. It's been fun. We're always together. We always train together. We always work hard. These flats aren't huge that we're living in. There's 4 of us living in here at the minute, or 4 athletes living here. We've all got our own little room. We've got one little living area. Yes, we've been stepping on each other's toes. 4 visually impaired athletes that weigh over 81 kilos, all of us. So pretty big lads. But we're all used to it, aren't we? And we're all close. We're such a tight team.
It's been good fun. We just have a laugh all the time, and it's been a lot of fun to experience this together.
And are you all partially sighted in your flat, or are there some totally blind people in there as well?
I'm probably got the best vision out of everybody, so I can see colours, shapes, objects. Just everything's blurred. I can't focus on anything. Probably our worst will probably be Dan. He struggles with sight a lot, so he's got parts of his vision that are blocked out. And then there's Jack, who's got tunnel vision, so he can't see around, so he can only see straight in front of him. So, but all together as a unit, we make one good eye. So we guide Jack around. He reads the signs for us. We get around.
One good eye between them. That's a line you could probably only hear and put out on the In Touch programme. It's a real peek behind the scenes with Elliot Stewart and Chris Skelly. Manny, I just want to have just a very quick peek behind your scenes because I've done a few of these Paralympics in my time, and I know it's quite a tough gig for a blind reporter, and I just wondered what it's been like for you under these unusual circumstances, smaller teams of reporters, COVID restrictions, because I know how much help I used to get. What has it really been like?
Yeah, there isn't much to see behind my scenes, Peter, because I've been pretty restricted in terms of where I can go. I've been here for 2 weeks, and I haven't been to any more than 3 places, including my hotel. This aquatic centre is the only venue that I'm allowed to go to, and the International Broadcast Centre, where we have an office. I have an assistant who looks up things for me, who guides me, who describes things like, reactions of winners and losers in the pool. But, there's no atmosphere, there are no fans, no one's milling around outside, there's no Olympic Park to walk in and just, soak things up for 10 minutes. I'm already looking forward to Paris.
Anyway, at least you've had some gold medals to look forward to. Manny, thank you very much indeed, and let's hope the gold keeps coming. Now, you might not regard yourself as a gold medal winning athlete necessarily, like some of the ones that we've just heard from. Perhaps you just dabble in the odd bit of exercise to stay fit and healthy. But for many, that's not as easy as it should be. According to Sport England, more than half of people with a visual impairment are pretty inactive. Of course, there can be a wide range of contributing factors to that. Could be inaccessible gyms and leisure facilities, or perhaps just our own attitudes towards them, believing that we can't get the necessary support when we do go and ask. But under the Equality Act, gyms, leisure and sports centres must make reasonable adjustments for disabled visitors and members. And tonight we have proof that it can indeed be done if you push hard enough. Chandni Soni is a self-professed gym enthusiast. Chandni, you've had trouble in the past finding a local gym that's willing to make the requirements for you. Just tell me about some of the problems you've had?
My biggest challenge when it comes to accessing gym has been the fact that I can visit the gym, but unfortunately, because of the way the machines are, they're all touch screen, I can't really access the machines myself. I need somebody to help me, and I guess also to maneuver between the machines as well, because there are so many obstacles when you are in the gym, like people leave equipment in the middle and so on. The general attitude is that, well, fine, we'll let you get in, but you have to bring your own carer. There won't be any help. That was my past experience, that I was told to basically bring a carer along so that they can help me operate the machines until I found my local gym, which was West Bay Sports and Fitness, and now known as Everyone Active.
Yeah, and so as you say, you found a gym and you say they've been really good in assuring that you can work out safely. Just talk me through what happens then when you want to go and work out there.
So the way the gym works is that I have to book a session every time I want to come in, and a member of staff will come with me for the duration of the time I'm there in the gym. They will make sure that they operate the machines for me. They will make sure that I'm safe while I'm working out. They'll maneuver me around the machines. They'll be adjusting my body positionings and so on.
Let me go to Karush Valise. He's a fitness manager at Everyone Active Gym, the one that Chan's been talking about. What happens logistically when a blind or partially sighted member says that they want to join your gym or says that they'd like to come and work out?
In the reality of it is not that excessive to say, oh, it's very labor intensive. It is more like finding the right time to book as members in to bring them in. If I had a personal training session with a client, I will meet them in reception, bring them to the gym and do the exercise with them. But when you're dealing with visually impaired individual, you will have to take that risk assessment in your head a lot higher. Okay, what is the barriers in front of, in the sense of any hazards? There would be a little bit more paying more attention towards technique. When someone is running and in a high pace, you have to visually be more present yourself. So yeah, in a sense, there is a bit of a extra paying attention, but the reality from someone who's been doing this, especially on our side, also has been doing this for years. We kind of, the staff are very trained and tailored to do the job.
Channy, can I just ask you, you've been to quite a few different gyms that you say aren't always accessible. What do you think should be the minimum requirement, really, to ensure that someone like you can access fitness?
I'd say the minimum requirement is actually meet the person, and if there is a possibility, provide them with someone, a member of staff who can be with them for the duration of the time. I understand that cost may be an issue, but surely if you can have some dedicated session, I'm not saying that I'll be coming to the gym 10 times a week, but maybe having like 1 or 2 sessions particularly dedicated to people who are like myself, who may struggle to operate the machines. So that could be the minimum. And maybe in the longer run, with the technology getting better, the machines may become voice activated, and then we may not need as much help from a staff.
Now, there is an initiative that aims to ensure that gyms and leisure centres are applying these standards. It's called the Inclusive Fitness Initiative, created by the Advocacy Alliance. Caroline Constantine is from Right Directions. They carry out these IFI accreditations assessments on behalf of Advocacy Alliance. That's all a bit complicated, I know, but essentially you're carrying these out. Caroline, just tell us what the IFI mark is and how gyms and gym goers benefit from it.
IFI is about an audit. We go in and we do a mystery visit. So we look at the accessibility, automatic doors, lifts, accessible toilets, all those sort of facilities that every leisure centre and gym should have for people with a disability or a long-term health condition. And then what we do then after a mystery visit, that's all scored. We then go into the leisure centre announced so they know we're there, and we look at their processes and their policies. We look at the training of their staff to see that their staff have had equality or disability awareness training. We look at how accessible their buildings are and their gyms, talk to the staff. So it's an all-round audit to see how good they are at helping and working with people to ensure they're able to go in, exercise and get fit.
And how do they tend to come out of it? Because we've heard what sounds like a very good example, but we also hear quite a lot from visually impaired people on In Touch who have the kind of problems that Chandni described at the beginning. So what's your overall sense of what's happening in gyms at the moment?
I think some are an awful lot better than others. It's all generally down to the people that are running the centres. So, for example, you just talked to Everyone Active. It's a very big company that have got great corporate policies and training. And most of the leisure centres are generally owned by local authorities. And we also work with Sport England to assess all leisure centres, or the majority of leisure centres. And it's all about uniting the country and raising awareness and ensuring that everybody can participate. So certainly my advice to everybody would be phone up your local leisure centre, talk to them. They have to, by law, make sure as reasonably practically as they can, make your visit accessible and work for you. And I think the main thing is to go in and ask.
Just briefly, Caroline, your IFI mark, it's not compulsory. Why would a gym apply if they're not actually required to?
Well, an awful lot of leisure centres that do apply want to demonstrate to their local authority or their community or on their website that they are accessible. It's a great tool to demonstrate to the councils and the public as well. So it's a good badge to have. And if you go on the Activity Alliance website, you can see which leisure centres or gyms have got the kite mark.
Chandni Soni, Karush Valasay and Caroline Constantine, thank you all very much indeed. And don't forget, if you are still a bit worried about visiting your local gym due to a lack of perceived support, you can request it under the Equalities Act by speaking to the gym manager. And if the gym is still a frightening thought, and perhaps you're able to exercise at home instead, the charity British Blind Sport have an online library of home workouts on their website. And that's all for today. We'd like your thoughts and experiences about anything you've heard on tonight's programme. You can email us at intouch@bbc.co.uk or leave us a voice message on 0161 836 1338 or go to our website bbc.co.uk/intouch where you can download tonight's and previous editions of the programme. From me, Peter Wight, producer Beth Hemmings and studio managers Richard Hannaford and Jonathan Esp, goodbye.